Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review for The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. This is the first book in the Rook and the Rose trilogy, which is an adult fantasy series that follows our main character of Ren, and this is taking place in a kind of like Venetian-inspired fantasy world. Ren is a young woman now, but she originally grew up as a child, and we get some flashbacks to that, in this city, and in like the underbelly of the city. And she was part of a like thief, it's not a family because they were abused, but that kind of like Locke Lamora, Oliver Twist type situation as a kid, and then she left for a while. She had to flee, and then she has since come back, and she has identified a mark of a family, a noble family in this city that's pretty important in the political structure, and so she is masquerading as a distant relative in order to be added to the family and to like steal a bunch of their money. But she realizes pretty quickly that there is a lot more politically going on in this city and with this family than she thought, and she gets pulled into that as this like family member, and everything goes from there. So first off, I'm gonna talk about the world building. I loved the world in here. This is a sort of like Venetian inspired sort of, I picture like a sort of Lies of Locke Lamora type vibe for a lot of reasons, because of the like the thief stuff, the con stuff, the setting, a lot of that had that feeling, but this is definitely uniquely its own. But if you like the Lies of Locke Lamora, I think you would like this. But very high society, big fashion. So there's like a lot of stuff about how people present themselves and the way that nobility presents themselves and the way that there are different families and different high families influence different things and are in charge of different things. And there's all these like big major players, and Ren is in the center of it, having to just navigate all of this, and she's really good at it. So I'll get to her in a second character-wise. But yeah, the setting is really cool. There's like night markets and yeah, like masquerade balls and all of that. There's also own world gods, which I always love when you have like your own gods in a world. And the magic in here, so good. Like, it is not entirely this like super high fantasy situation, but the magic is so entwined with the politics and the way that things work. So you have both sort of like high ceremonial magic and what they sort of consider low magic, and both things are really cool. So the ceremonial magic is sort of like based on astrology and also like sigils and just sort of like, yeah, like ceremonial workings and like sigils and things that make things happen. So there's some things that can like control sort of how people are feeling or whatever. And yeah, like astrology and birth charts is like a big thing for the nobility, which is fascinating. Then there's also like this dream magic aspect of this like dream world and people that can be connected to the dream world and things that come out of the dream world and can impact people, but not everyone can see them. So that's cool. And then we have a sort of low magic element of this type of card system, divination system that is like tarot, but it's its own tarot system. So it has the same thing with like spreads and divination and like tarot readers and stuff, but it's called something else. I'm forgetting the name right now. But that is also really cool. So like this is a witch's dream. This whole setting, very cool. In addition to all like the magic and stuff, this city is also, there's a really cool map about like how this is sort of broken up. And there's this element of this place was colonized. And so you have this like the colonizing force versus the people who originally were there, and like their magic and religion versus the new like high magic stuff, and like how they're all navigating those things, which is also very fascinating and interesting. Next, I'm gonna talk about our characters. Ren is outstanding. I love her. If you like the really smart, you know, Locke Lamora, Casbrecker, like some of those kind of people that like create a scheme and execute it, she's so good. She like jumps through hoops. There's all these things, like she's having to be a face, right? She's having to masquerade as a person, and the way that she can just flow with things is so interesting. And she also has this like tie to this like old magic system, to that like tarot card system, that is fascinating, and we don't know all the details of why that is. But yeah, so she's really cool, and like the bonds that she builds and the way that like she starts getting pulled into this family's situation, this like political situation, and she has like a heart, but she's also kind of fighting. She's like, I just want to scam these people, but now I care. And like, all of that is so good. All of the side characters also are just extremely well fleshed out. This is giving similar vibes as far as like all of the characters to like a Robin Hobb writing style, right? Where there's like a lot of characters and they're all really fleshed out, and they're like, no one is truly good or evil. Like they all have different things that they're doing and different ways that they're moving through the world in a way that is very fascinating. So you have some other like characters. You have this sort of, he's sort of like a cop, but like you have this this character who is a friend of the family, but he is from that like colonized group, but he's working for the colonizing force. And so like his dichotomy is really interesting. Like he's pulled in to kind of watch her because she seems suspicious, but then there's like other stuff going on. You have members of that family and how they're responding to things, and like the nobility and stuff. Then you have this character, his name is Vargo. He is sort of a seedy crime lord in the underbelly type situation. He has something going on with him that you do not understand even in this like first book. He also has a pet spider, pet jumping spider that hangs out in his coat all the time. And he's like bisexual disaster, can be flamboyant sometimes, but is also like super just like hardcore, has a lot, like a very interesting history and backstory, and is also tied to some of this magic stuff. He's really cool. He is sort of like an antagonistic potential foil for Ren in some ways, but is also an ally. Really interesting. And then all these like high society people, there's some gay shit. There's lots of like queer dynamics in here. What am I forgetting? Oh, there's also this element of, there's this character named the Rook, who is sort of this like vigilante justice character. And the entire time Ren is also trying to figure out who this person is because they pop in and out all the time. And they are this like character, like someone always takes on the mask of the Rook. They've been around for like hundreds of years, and she knows them from living in like the Undercity as this like folk hero. So there's this mystery element to that. It's just so good. Like all of the characters and all of the things are really good. So lastly, we talk about the plot. This is slow political intrigue, but like a lot of really fun settings. So instead of just people having like a ton of conversations all the time, there's definitely that, but it's like there's masquerades, there's fashion stuff, there's different like antagonistic characters, there's all the magic, like all of it is so good. And yeah, so if you like slower stories, I think you'll like this, but it's not so slow that you feel like nothing's happening. It's just like a lot of like the political posturing, nobility stuff. Watching Ren be like, are you gonna get trapped? Like, you're doing so much. You're really getting tied into all this, all that. So I loved this, if you can't tell. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. I already have the second book. People have been telling me to read this book like kind of for years now, and I totally see why this is like so for me in every way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the series for sure. So comment below, let me know what you thought of The Mask of Mirrors. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.